The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour.
ChatGPT did become the world's most downloaded non-gaming app.
Literally the job of everyone in government to address the media and the public.
What are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on Zandy Silva as the deputy PLP leader?
A community that can't feed itself is the community that do.
What you may not know, though, is that Bermuda, we have a connection with Epstein, too.
Things that people are doing right, the youth are doing right, that is not being advertised enough.
When you see access to U.S. dollars disappear, that's when you have a problem.
If you've got a town in the UK with a similar sized population, this place absolutely outshines it.
It's Wednesday, the 25th day of February 2026. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airways with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman. He's Taj Donville Otterbridge, and we'll have a news break from Teo Dill in a bit. Taj, happy Wednesday to you. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. Trying to stay warm in this snowy Toronto.
Yeah. You know what? Man, it looks like it's been quite a winter up north. And
yes,
I can say this, man. As much as I don't like freezing weather, I will take a freezing day over a hot, sweaty, humid summer day any day of the week.
I agree.
Seriously. So stay warm, bro. Stay warm. Honestly, man.
Yeah.
It's much easier to warm up than cool down. So
yes, 100%.
Yeah. All righty. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Stacey Lee-Williams, Executive Director of our newest community partner, CURB. So we're going to be discussing why Black history is all of our history. And, I love conversations like this. I really do. I think Taj may like him more than me, but
yes,
he's got more energy to fight these days than me. But I'm really looking forward to this conversation, and I don't think we have these conversations enough. But in the current state and day and time, these conversations are probably as important or relevant as any time during my life. So I'm looking forward to the conversation with Stacey Lee-Williams. Folks, it's music today. So we're going to test Taj, right? We're going to test Taj. We're going to see, his air, like what's he into? Because I feel like, he should kind of have an idea of the artist. I'll say that much.
Okay.
Right. Audience, I'm putting it on Taj, but it's on you as well. So don't let us down. All right. All righty, folks. If you haven't already, do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. We've got Suzanne Ingham says it's a super awesome Wednesday, Jamal and Taj. Great to have you back, Taj. Is your snow plastic? Taj. No, it's the real stuff up there. It's the real stuff. We've got Kenton Chart says, bring on the heat. Where's Cup Match Weather? No, sir. You can have that. I could do it 2 days a year as long as St. George's is winning the cup. By the way, Taj, before we go any further, do you have a cup match team?
St. George's.
Okay. All right. We're good. I thought you were one of those people like Teray. That's why we try to ask them not to show up as often anymore. But all right, folks. Here's your questions of the morning. What are your thoughts on Jason Hayward announcing his candidacy for leadership? And if not Jason, then who? Well, what are we talking about? Folks, the race to lead the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party and ultimately the country is officially heating up. Minister Jason Hayward has formally announced his candidacy to become the next PLP leader and by extension, Bermuda's next premier when David Burt steps aside later this year. Mr. Hayward positioned himself as experienced, battle-tested, and grounded in service, highlighting his work in labor, workforce development, and the economy. He made that statement at the party's Founders Day celebration, and notably, he did so with the full endorsement of Deputy Premier Zandy Silva standing beside him. Now, that's where it gets interesting, because Minister Zandy Silva himself had previously signaled his own interest in leading the party. So his decision to publicly back Hayward suggests either maybe consolidation strategy or even an effort to prevent division inside the PLP. But the political chessboard doesn't stop there. Many in the community, particularly in business and financial circles, continue to mention former Finance Minister Curtis Dickinson as someone they would like to see return to frontline leadership. Dickinson has not said whether he will run or not, at least publicly at this point, but the appetite for his name hasn't disappeared. So what we're seeing is a moment of transition and potentially a contest that could define the PLP's direction for the next decade. Will the party rally quickly behind Hayward, which seemed to be kind of what we're seeing on Sunday? Will other candidates enter? Will Curtis Dickinson make a move? And what does this mean for Bermuda's economic and political future? Because whoever leads the PLP will likely lead the country. It's important to note that this isn't just party politics. It's a preview of Bermuda's next chapter. Taj, you heard the questions. You saw the questions. People are talking.
Yes, they are.
Some people are shocked. Others are like, oh, I figured it. I don't know. I don't know.
I've been saying that Jason Hayward is likely to be our next premier, even after Zane announced that he was running. I just had a feeling that Jason would run, one, because of his relationship with the premier, and when I see them together, how they work together and communicate, it looked like the premier was taking him under his wing a bit. And so I had a feeling that that would be the person that the premier would endorse to be the next leader, which would likely be the person who's the next leader. I also think that Jason is smart. I think he has definitely the academic and professional experience to carry the torch. I guess my concern, like many others, is the lack of confidence that he seems to exude. And I suppose he doesn't necessarily have the support of the entire party, even though he talks about unity a lot. I wonder if that unity extends to Curtis Dickinson, because I think the country would love to see him back as finance minister as well, even if he doesn't run for leader or doesn't win the leadership contest. So I wonder if that call for unity extends.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, and I want to add to your point, because those who don't know Minister Jason Hayward may think, oh, he's just the guy for the People's Campaign, whatever. But he has been the Minister of Economy and Labor. He has been a minister for quite some time now. He does have a background in unions and workforce planning. And in a time where jobs and economy are top of most conversations, he's put his foot or feet right in that scrap. His campaign is framed around unity, as Taj mentioned, right? And the public endorsement from Zandy Silva kind of shows that. But then there's a Zandy Silva shift. Like, after previously expressing interest in leadership, now publicly backing Hayward, it kind of suggests like there's an alliance building, and it will be hard for anyone to just break that. So now the Curtis Dickinson factor, former finance minister, some people say the best since Eugene Cox, right, in the PLP, still widely respected in many segments of the community, has not announced his intentions and represents a very different tone and leadership style, right? Now, what this means for Bermuda, the PLP currently dominates the House, right? The leadership race is essentially, it determines the next premier. This signals potential policy shifts on CIT, corporate income tax, cost of living, debt management, public sector reform, housing. To Taj's point about unity, right? If the Premier David Brett is saying he's walking away altogether, like as Premier, as Finance Minister, Jason Hayward, if he is, elected as the party leader and in turn the Premier, will need a Curtis Dickinson on his team.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we get there? How do we get there? Like, is the unity a thing of optics, or is it a real thing?
That's the question that people have. And it's all going to depend on how this plays out, how the leadership race plays out, and how, if it gets dirty, and how they maneuver around the delegates and the MPs, etc. That's going to be interesting. One thing I will say that rubbed me the wrong way, something Jason said in an interview, not about this, but he was just asked the question at the end of a press conference. And he said that he doesn't want to discuss internal party politics, so his consideration for leadership in the public domain. And I'll tell you why that rubbed me the wrong way. Because the public has a vested interest in knowing who the next leader of the PLP is, because the next leader of the PLP is most likely the leader of the country. And if he already is starting to show that he's going to continue the David Brett style secrecy that the PLP has going on, all while trying to promote transparency, it seems counterintuitive to me. And that rubbed me a little bit the wrong way when he said that, for sure. So we'll see.
That's a very good point. Audience, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Jason Hayward announcing his candidacy for leadership? And if not Jason Hayward, then who? If not Jason Hayward, then who? Again, question of the morning is based on at the PLP Founders Day event on Sunday, this past Sunday. Minister of Economy and Labor, Jason Hayward, announced his candidacy for leadership of the Bermuda Progressive Labour Party, and in turn, Premier of Bermuda, as the current Premier David Brett is set to step down at the end of this year. So what are your thoughts? I mean, to be fair, I know a lot of people would like Mr. Dickinson to throw his head in the ring, but he's been quiet. I mean, we don't know if he will, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of concerns about Jason, and this is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. And I'll get to comments in a few, but some of the concerns I've seen about Jason Hayward is he's not personable. And, that's the same thing that the PLP, who didn't want Curtis Dickinson, said about him, right? Now, I do feel that Jason Hayward, from the time he first became a minister to now, has grown leaps and bounds. Let me say that he has grown leaps and bounds. He speaks much better. He approaches things with in a more, I guess, a less aggressive tone.
Yeah.
Right. If you haven't seen his growth, I mean, you probably haven't been paying attention, but he has grown, and that's just me being unbiased. However, there are concerns that, he sometimes comes across like he doesn't like people.
Mm-hmm.
That's something, and I know people say, well, David Brett doesn't like people. The difference is he drinks and it changes after that. David has something that you kind of need. And it may not be likable to many, but he knows how to work a room, right? He knows how to get people out to vote. He knows how to win elections. David, like him or not, again, he knows how to win.
Yes.
And part of that is, it's like a used car salesman, right? You kind of need that in you. I think that has concerned some people about Jason. Like, it's a big question. The other thing, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've ever had a former union leader be premier of the country.
Yeah.
We've had, I think Dr. E.F. Gordon was the leader of the PLP at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe.
I don't think so. But Dr. Barbara Bowl, for sure, was in the PLP, not premier, but she was a minister,
Right.
and she was the president of the union. So
PLP has had 12 leaders, someone said the other day. I'm pretty sure Dr. F. Gordon may have been one, correct me if I'm wrong, but Jason Haywood going from a union leadership to leadership of the country, I think that would be a first, if I'm not mistaken. That's another thing. Let's go to the audience real fast, Taj. Again, audience, what are your thoughts on Jason Haywood, Minister of Economy and Labor, announcing his candidacy for leadership? And if not Jason, then who? Well, Suzanne Ingham says Dickinson, not Haywood or De Silva. But why? Why Dickinson? Right. Polly Rich also says, Mr. Dickinson, please. Why Dickinson? I'd like to know. And I'm not saying I disagree. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying I disagree. I just would love to know the why Dickinson over Haywood or anyone. Mark Arthur says, I was confused as well, Brother Jamal, with the endorsement, Minister Zane. I do believe your prediction will come to pass. MP Zane De Silva will be, well, we haven't even talked about that part, how they ruined my prediction. Taj was probably holding on to that one. He was probably holding on. So I made two predictions. I said Robert King will not be leader by the end of this year, and I said Zane De Silva will be the premier. So I said to Minister Zane De Silva on Monday at the breakfast, I said, man, you ruined my prediction. And he laughed. But again, whatever the strategy was, Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, I agree, Taj. We need unity in the country, not just the PLP. The PLP needs to remember that they are the ruling party and no longer the opposition.
Yes.
Taj, I honestly, I appreciate that we have a situation where we change leaders, right? I have a personal opinion where I think leadership for accountability purposes, leadership should change pretty often, right? Sorry. And then I say often, what is 6 years, right? I'm a believer in that because it keeps a healthy democracy and society.
Yes.
That said, I don't want just any leader.
Yeah.
I don't think we deserve just any leader. I think Bermuda deserves the best leader. And I know people will disagree. I know Bermuda deserves what they vote for. Is Jason Haywood the best person to lead Bermuda going forward? Is Curtis Dickinson the best person to lead us forward? Is Zane De Silva the best person to lead us forward? Is Renee Ming the best person to lead us forward? Is Kim Wilson the best person to lead us forward? And if not, what makes, they took a picture, right? Why would the other ministers, MPs, backbenchers, senators, why would they back Jason this early without even finding out who else is interested? That's concerning to me because you haven't even heard the plans. Like, let Jason reveal his plans, let another candidate reveal their plans, and then you know what? Make the best decision for the party, country, right? And when I say country, I'm talking about the people. But for people to endorse already, I'm like, well, maybe, again, I'm not in there anymore. Tosh is not in there. Maybe he did share his plan internally.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily shared his plan, but I think it goes to that unity piece. I think that unity is more insidious than we think. I think it's to say, this is the next leader of the party, that's it. No question. It's more of a crown. And the Royal Gazette said this in the editorial, that it looks like he's setting up for more of a crowning than an election, which I think is exactly what the goal is, to position him as the only choice, with Zane backing down and supporting him. And I think Zane will help with that personable part in convincing the delegates, because Zane is probably the most personable person that the PLP has. And so them as a team, I think, is unbeatable. I don't know who Dickinson will choose, but the deputy leader race, I don't believe, is up this year. So Dickinson will have to work with Zane for at least a short while. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up, and if Dickinson would even run, considering that Zane has openly supported Jason. Yeah.
Because, man, this is an interesting time, and I think many in Bermuda should have their eyes wide open, right, and ears, because, again, as I said earlier, this person will determine Bermuda's fate for the next decade, likely, and more. This is not a conversation that anyone should not want to be a part of.
Exactly.
So again, audience, just gonna ask one more time. If not Jason, then who? If not Jason for leadership and in turn premier, then who? Who would you choose? And what are your thoughts? Do you feel okay with it? Suzanne Ingham said, I know a tad too much. Dickinson will be the much better choice, more solid. Sean Smith says, I would support Mr. Haywood, but not right now. If he is going to stand on his racket in his current position, I am not overly impressed. Interesting. I mean, what's his current record? I mean, I honestly don't know.
I mean, he's delivered. If you want to look at the economy as the Minister of Economic Development, he's definitely delivered, given the budget that we just saw this week. It's quite impressive. Unemployment was down quite significantly. The GDP has grown by 12 or 20, in between 12 and 20% or something like this. So if you're looking at his pure economic record, then I think he's probably one of the most successful PLP ministers that the PLP has. And I think that's why he's also lasted as long as he has lasted as a minister.
You know what, though? Just thought of something. Everybody knows I was a Bernie guy back in 2016. But my hope is that David Burt, the Premier of Bermuda, didn't pull up what the Democrats did to Bernie in 2016. What I mean by that is the Democratic Party literally drove Hillary Clinton down the throats of the people as if she's the candidate, best candidate, she will win. This was strategic to make Minister Jason Haywood the speaker.
Yes.
At the Founders Day event. It was very strategic to have him announce his candidacy and also bring Zandy Silver, the deputy leader, out to endorse him.
Yes.
That was strategic as to say to the party, this is the person that we want. And anyone who comes after it's going to be difficult or hard.
Exactly.
That's concerning, actually. It's concerning because Ms. Ellen Kate Horton says the premier is in control and will want to be finance minister. It shows that almost that the premier, from the outside looking in, feels like this is his best way to maintain control.
Well, leaders often worry about legacy. And if you're the premier of Bermuda, you want someone that's going to continue the plan that you set forward, the plan that you meticulously designed and put into place, which I think the premier has done quite intentionally. And I think he wants someone that will continue that.
But remember what I just said? And it reminds me of Barack Obama. And he was, same thing about his legacy. Like, if Trump gets in, he's going to take away, Obamacare, and people were like, oh, I don't care. I'm not voting for Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
This is obviously different because the party votes, not the people, right? But you can't think short term. Does Jason have what it takes to win the general election? Now, again, I always believe that elections are lost, not won, right? Well, with the current state of the One Bermuda Alliance, I think Iraq could lead the PLP.
Right.
And I say that respectfully.
I agree.
Well, if there's a way to make that respectfully, but you get my point. Let's go through these final few comments, Taj. This is your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure. Manuela says, considering Zandy Silver has been considered to be in line for leadership, it is confusing that he would endorse Jason Haywood. Just go back to what I just said. Holly Rich says, Mr. Dickinson, more people-centered, can win over people easily, I believe. Really? You think so? I also believe he has more knowledge as it relates to corporate partners. Mr. Dickinson, more people-centered? That was one of the arguments the PLP had about him, is that he wasn't a people person.
I think they both struggle with that. I think both Jason and Dickinson will struggle to be personable in the way that the current premier is, and they certainly won't be able to center the campaign, because the PLP has centered their campaigns around David Burt. Like, his face was big on the thing, where the MP's picture was small, and so I don't think they'll be able to do that with either of those two. So they both have that lack of charisma.
That's the word. Let's go through this final few. We've got a very special guest waiting for us. Charles H. Jefferson says, technically, the party has 24 candidates. I was disappointed to see so many 24 candidates. Oh, I mean MPs. not candidates. I was disappointed to see so many MPs and the party chairwoman as part of the endorsement picture. Was this to dissuade others from running backroom deals? That is a concern of mine as well, Charles.
Sure.
Absolute concern. It's going to be it's a long time till October, but it's not, right? Yeah. Suzanne Ingham says, you nailed it, Jamel. And Ms. Ellen Kate Horton says, I agree with you, Jamel. It was strategic, and the day was about Jason, not the awardees. It turned out to be a rally. Yeah, I didn't even know who was honored until we asked Mia in the group. All right, folks, that's your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Folks, if you're streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, do us a big favor. It costs you nothing. Hit the like, love, follow, share button. Make sure everyone in your family, your colleagues have access to these most important community conversations, because I guarantee you, someone out there does not know about what we're discussing this morning.
100%.
All right. Let's show some love to Titan Express and Secure. After that, we'll go to a news break with Teo Dill, and then we will have CURB, Stacey Lee-Williams, coming up for a very important conversation about Black history. Stick with us.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Titan Express delivers safe, professional, and reliable transportation and tours across the island. From island tours to cultural experiences, they set the standard. And Secure is your go-to for property management, waste management, and residential and commercial services. Visit securebda.com. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is their commitment to you.
All righty, let's go to Teo Dill with your Daily Hour News Break.
Good morning, I'm Teo Dill, and welcome to your TDH News Break, brought to you by the great folks at Peoples. We are still the people, as you know, just growing in new ways to meet the world ahead. And 52-year-old Wilton Woolridge has been confirmed as Bermuda's fourth road fatality for 2026, less than 2 months into the year. The BPS shared that the reported single-vehicle motorcycle collision that claimed his life occurred around 3:35 a.m. on Saturday, January 31st, near the roundabout at the junction of Barkers Hill, North Shore Road, and Palmetto Road in Devonshire. Mr. Woolridge received initial treatment at the collision scene by emergency medical personnel and was rushed to KMH via ambulance, where he was provided further medical treatment in the hospital's ICU. However, he was ultimately pronounced dead last Wednesday, February 18th. Any witnesses who've not already come forward are urged to contact Constable Victor Fishington of the BPS Roads Policing Unit on 717-0836 or vfishington@bps.bm ASAP. And the proof will be in the pudding. This from Housing Minister Zane De Silva during a live-stream budget-centric press event yesterday afternoon, responding to questions about the viability of his ministry's promised construction of 200 new homes in the next 18 months.
Well, the proof will be in the pudding. You will know I've talked about different methods of construction over the last 8 months. That's exactly where we're going. We're looking at creating precast homes, and we're going to do them quickly. It's been done before. My contention is that it will be done again in Bermuda. Probably the first time in Bermuda. That quick and that many. But okay. I'm gonna stick to my guns on it, and I'm gonna hold everybody's feet to the fire. And I know you hold my feet to the fire too.
And Minister of Youth, Social Development and Seniors, Tanae Ferbert, was also present at the presser, where she explained why the planned creation of a new national disability unit is so important to the country generally and her personally.
So I'm very excited that we're able to move forward. Hopefully that disability unit can grow, but we have to start from somewhere. And so I'm actually excited with our policy team and the inclusion of an actual dedicated person for disability that will help to progress accessibility, policy, legislation for persons with disabilities.
Of course. And does this bring Bermuda in line with international standards in this area?
We have a lot of work to do, let's say that. But it is definitely a progression, and it is a start of something that we did not have before.
And one of the world's leading accounting firms has described Bermuda's new national budget and the resulting fiscal outlook as having, quote, markedly improved, end quote. As one of the world's big four audit and advisory firms, KPMG's analysis carries significant credibility in the financial community, particularly as this is the first budget fully shaped by Bermuda's new corporate income tax. The firm highlighted that at least 70% of net CIT revenue will be directed towards debt reduction and long-term financial stability, supported by the creation of 3 new funds. That is a stabilization fund, a sinking fund, and a sovereign wealth fund. KPMG also underlined the full repayment of $605 million in senior notes as of next year, the largest single debt reduction in Bermuda's history, alongside payroll tax cuts, cost of living relief, and major investments in healthcare infrastructure and seniors benefits. Now, weather-wise, we are heading into a much calmer, warmer stretch of conditions than we've experienced recently. Weak slices of low pressure are still nearby, but highs are building into our airspace, easing the winds and gradually backing them to the south. That sets the stage for a settled spring-like pattern through the end of this week. Today should give us plenty of sunshine, turning a bit hazy later with highs near 66 and a low about 62. Winds stay light to moderate out of the west-southwest before backing southwest this evening. Sunshine's building, winds are relaxing, and a nice early taste of spring should settle in. And that's your TDH News Break, brought to you by our friends at Peoples. I'm Teo Dill. Now back to the show.
Thanks so much for that, Teo. First off, I just want to send love to the family, friends, and greater community of Mr. Woolridge, who is our latest road death. And that's 4 so far this year. And if I can count correctly, that's 2 a month. 2 a month would equate to 24 if we don't slow down. And it just made me think that last night, the police shared that there was another car that overturned on Front Street. And if, again, my math's correct, that's 3 overturned cars in 4 days in Bermuda. And this is not a criticism, but I ask myself, how does that happen in Bermuda where the speed limit is so slow? I just ask people, honestly, to drive slower and drive with care. Stop driving distracted. Like, folks, when I was talking to my dad the other day, and I moved to Atlanta to be closer to family, friends, and when I go to visit my godparents out in, they live about 25 miles from me, right? 25 miles is longer than Bermuda, and the speed in which you travel on a highway, one little move and you're flipped. That makes sense. In Bermuda, I honestly just don't get it. And I just want to make a plea to everyone today. Just try to go a bit slower. If you're late, you're late. You are late. You are late. I believe, and I hope I'm right in saying this, I would hope that your employer, your family, your church, whatever it is you're going to, would rather you get there safely than not at all.
Yeah.
I think, someone said to me the other day, it's like, I remember when I used to live in New York, I was right on the Brooklyn Bridge and I would hear sirens every 0.2 seconds. And it's like, every time I hear a siren, I'm just like, not again. So please, I'm asking, like, if we can just, not for me, but for yourselves and your family, your loved ones, just slow down, pay attention. I'm driving 25 miles. I'm not texting. I mean, I don't look at my phone that much anyway. But my point is, you're not traveling that far where you need to respond to someone that urgently. Bermuda's not big enough.
Yeah.
I'm not, this is not a criticism. This is just an ask.
Yes.
For all of us to be a bit more deliberate in being a bit safer on Bermuda's roads. That's it. All right, Taj. You've got any days of the year for us?
Yes. Today's days of the year, it's Let's All Eat Right Day today. And so this day is all about making healthy choices. So I have a question for the audience. When you get a meal and they ask you, do you want a salad or fries? What's your choice?
Why would you ask? Okay, so I'm gonna say it. Fries, Tosh. What you mean? Fries.
Well, I know people that always got a salad. I used to always got a salad when I was younger.
Okay, in truth, I've had French fries once. No, I haven't had them once this year. I don't think. No, I haven't had fries this year. I haven't. No, New Year's Eve doesn't count because that's still like the day before in 2026.
Yes.
So
Yes.
but I mean, that's because my doctor, I am a physical and a good back. I don't want to be on the medication for cholesterol. So that's
Okay.
what it is. But it'll be French fries every day for me. But what they saying? What they saying?
Well, Therese says always fries.
Oh, skinny mini. I mean, get her out off the screen. We've got Sean Smith says fries with my salad. So it's getting both.
Yes.
She says, I mean, skinny is a non-toxic, non-Tyra Banks fake. Don't cancel me. We've got these days salad. I'm with you. These days, Polly Rich. Well done, Jamel. Was that before or after? It was before midnight. So I haven't had. I'm literally thinking I have not had French fries this year, and you all know, man, that's fried potatoes and me. We have a very, very good relationship. Yeah. Taj, you didn't answer.
Oh, it depends. Usually a sweet potato fry, though.
Okay.
If that option is
You're so
available.
young and wise. I mean, oh, wait. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We've got please share this link because this conversation, and if there's one thing that old man put me to sleep, he did. I fell asleep to his rant last night or speech. Donald Trump, president of the U.S., his State of the Union. But getting rid of DEI, I mean, got an applause from me, and I'm gonna write a nice long LinkedIn post this week about it. You all know I can't stand DEI, but I love me some Black history. Not for me, but for the other folks. Stick with us. We're gonna have that conversation with Stacey Lee-Williams after this break.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Take a look at our workbook for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Nautical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
What lasts isn't what you buy, but what it becomes. With the HSBC MasterCard credit card, every spend quietly adds to a story shaped by intention and offers what matters most. Support that meets you where you are. Protection that preserves what you choose. Confidence for the unexpected. Peace of mind wherever your story leads. Start your next chapter. Use your card today. HSBC is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
What if the age that really matters isn't the one on your ID? You probably know your chronological age, the number of candles on your last birthday cake. But there's another kind of age that may be even more important, your biological age. This reflects how old your body truly is at the cellular level. It is influenced by your genes, your environment, and the choices you make every day. Two people can both be 40 years old on paper, but one may have the body of a healthy 30-year-old while the other is biologically closer to 50. The difference? Lifestyle choices on nutrition, sleep, stress, exercise, and exposure to toxins. That means you have some control over your biological clock, and that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Because when it comes to aging, it's not just about living longer, it's about living better. Want to know your predicted biological age today? Download the free Carry Genetics app and fill in the lifestyle questionnaire.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Taj Dunville Bridge, myself, Jamel Hartman. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House, Linda's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio areas with these most important community conversations. Folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. Without further ado, let's just wait till she gets in position. But we've got a very special guest coming on. Taj, real quickly, while we wait for Stacey to get in position, we've got Dorian says, if you want Curtis Dickinson as leader, become members of the PLP and lobby your delegates. You know what? Before I would have said, no, I don't want to be. But I actually agree with this now, folks.
That's the best way.
I'm going to say it. Like, I agree now. Like, you really wanted that person as the leader that much? Join your constituency, join the party, and ask your MP to make you a delegate. That's the only way it's going to happen.
And the more members your branch has, the more delegates they have. So the more positional power they have in that space.
Yep. Alrighty. Give me 2 seconds. Taj, do we have any other comments we can go through? Just wanted to.
Well,
I know Teray had something up there as well as Charles. I'm saying Charles and Sean Smith. You want to go through those?
Which one?
Scroll above to them.
I know someone mentioned Alexa Lightborn when we were discussing the leadership. Right
yes. Here. What are your thoughts on Alexa?
Well, I know it's no secret. I know Alexa very well. We're friends. I think she'll be great. I think she's probably one of the most effective leaders that the PLP has, and she's in the right position now. And I think it's no mistake that she's in constituency 14, which happens to be the seat of two former women leaders of the PLP, both Dame Lois Brown Evans and Paula Cox. So I think it's no mistake that she's in that seat. But I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I think you're looking at the next 3 or 4 elections away.
I'll say this much regarding Minister Lightborn. I think that she speaks well. I just feel like I need to see more. And this is not about time. It's really, I need to see the results of the work.
Yes,
if that makes sense. Yeah.
And you should see them in the coming years.
Yeah. And then this was to something you said about Jason proving this. Sean Smith said, remove international business, the corporate income tax, and South P and project contribution. Where's the economic growth coming from?
Well, that's a great question.
I guess he told you.
That's the right question.
All right, let's we might have to position Miss Stacey when she comes in. Let's give a warm TDH welcome to our guest for the morning. We've got Stacey Lee-Williams. I was accepted that like, oh well, let me think about that. All right, let's give a warm TDH welcome to Stacey Lee-Williams, Executive Director of CURB. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We can only see your head. Is it a way you can adjust yourself so that you can look exactly like us and then turn towards the camera? Taj is over here shutting things down this morning, so forgive us for our tardiness.
Not a problem.
I must ask you though real quickly, French fries or salad?
I'm all into potatoes, so fries.
Okay.
It's not the best decision for me, but I'm hoping my doctor don't hear me. But
yeah. Well, I have a confession. I received a text during the break, and folks, I told a fib, not because I meant to lie to you, but because I forgot that on Super Bowl Sunday, I definitely had some fries and wings. I did. So please forgive me. It won't happen again. Miss Stacey Lee, please don't judge me. Don't think that I'm that kind of person, because we're going to be spending a lot of time together. All right. But
am I
no,
better? Am I better position? Because I'm not looking at you. I want to look at you, but
yes, come up a bit more. Sorry, if you can come up a bit more, yes. Because we still just have your head. Yes, still just have your head.
Sit on some paper.
Well, as a shorter person, I mean, I am 6'2", but it took me long to get here. I know about certain things. Yes, this is much better. Just come a bit center. But let us know, just for those who don't know what CURB is, just give people a little background of what CURB is, what the purpose of the organization is.
So CURB stands for Citizens Uprooting Racism Bermuda. I'm the executive director, the first full-time executive director. Been in the position for about 4 years. But what we do is we not only work to teach people about anti-racism, but we're also like the lead organization for restorative practice. So we have those difficult conversations or facilitate difficult conversations, but in a restorative framework so that everybody can be a part of the conversations.
Black History Month, something I've actually spoken out, wrote a long LinkedIn post, some things about it just really bother me, but is often framed as a celebration of Black achievement. Why do you say it's actually the shared history of all Bermudians rather than just Black Bermudians?
Because, I mean, think about Bermuda, we're predominantly Black, right? Our history is our history from the beginning of when those first people came and settled onto our island to where we are today. And that history shaped who we are as far as colonization and all of that. So it's our history. It's everyone's history. And I think once we acknowledge that, then the conversations may be easier to have, because that resistance of wanting to hear about our Black history or understand our Black history is an issue that keeps us divided.
Yes. Good morning. So my question is, when we talk about shared ownership of history, what responsibility does that place on individuals, institutions, and the government? I know you've talked a little bit about this, CURB anyway, in your racial justice platform from 2025, but if you could elaborate, that'd be great.
Okay, thanks. And thanks for the more difficult questions. But so, Black history, right? What we tend to do, but many workplaces still struggle to understand, is that the exclusion was not accidental, it was structural. So the rights and opportunities that many of us benefit from today came from, because people challenged those norms. They resisted business as usual and demanded systemic change. But what we see today is workplaces often celebrate the history while resisting the discomfort that real transformation requires. And so whilst I believe that, it's always great to celebrate our icons, celebrate our history, and commemorate, however, we need to really dig deep and start changing some of these policies that keep us in this inequitable state. And so I watch companies celebrate Black history only during February all the time, and it is a bit frustrating because no real change is going to happen from just doing that.
Yeah, real quickly, an audience, if you have any questions or comments, please send your questions or comments through. I think that's where my disgust comes from. My disgust comes from optics over action. And I guess my question, and I'm going to put this to Taj as well, but obviously you as executive director of CURB, what part of that falls on Black people in particular? Who wants to take it first?
I think, it's important that we celebrate ourselves, that we acknowledge ourselves. Black history isn't just about our struggles, right? We are brilliant people. And so we need to empower each other, lift each other up, and make sure that our children also know our history, also know not just the struggles, but the excellence of our people, so that we can, be more prideful of our communities that we live in.
But I
I'm not
mean,
sure if that answers your question, but
no, I mean from a standpoint of, so we have Black people in these organizations, right?
yes.
And some may have slight decision-making, roles, right? Some may be in marketing departments who are turning this into PR and marketing opportunities. What role, I mean, Black people just want to stay employed, pay their bills, but what role do we play in ensuring that these companies who are employing us do more than just the optics thing? Like, I think that's part of the challenge that we're seeing. Like, I hated seeing companies change their logo to, the Pan-African flag or the rainbow colors during LGBT. Like, it was disingenuous, and it just came across as PR and marketing. And I've said that for years, but there are Black people in these spaces, for the sake of Black History Month, who just stay silent and go along with it, and because they need a job. Like, what role do they play in this?
It's that internalized oppression piece, right? They're afraid to speak out and they're conditioned not to. And so, like, challenging biases, challenging the organizations for whatever is keeping inequitable structures in place. That's what's needed. They need to be bolder in their spaces and know that they have a voice. But very often it's that internalized piece that keeps them quiet, because they have rents to pay, because they, it's structural, it's systemic.
Sorry.
Yes, and I'll also answer the question and say that I think that not all Black people are pro-Black or anti-racist. And so you have Black people in these spaces who don't believe necessarily in Black History Month or the policies that would help empower the Black community. So when you consider that, I don't know what they should do, but they.
but and for the sake of the conversation, I'm gonna put this another way, and I don't know. So this is a genuine question. What you just said is a fact, but do you think there would be a gay person per se who doesn't believe? You got where I'm going with this?
There are 100% are gay people who do not believe in. Yes,
seriously.
There are.
Listen, maybe I'm slow.
There are LGBTQ plus politicians in Bermuda who have voted against LGBTQ plus rights.
Yes.
That's a perfect example right there.
Wow. Maybe I'm built different. I'm a little okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tosh. Let me sit on this for a while.
It's a level of, and I don't want to. I'm not calling people a individual ignorant, but it's a level of ignorance.
Yes.
To vote against your own, like to go against your own interests, though.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Okay, I guess it's more normal than I think.
And also, some people aren't really willing to sacrifice their material comfort.
Yeah,
that's another big thing that people also consider. The material comfort, people aren't willing to sacrifice that to speak up for a cause that right now isn't the most popular. We saw Donald Trump say DEI is dead. So do you risk your livelihood to speak out for a cause? I don't know.
I mean, I guess we'll
go it's the same as if some people that don't want to speak about racism.
Yes.
Right? They understand that it's inequitable. They understand it's unfair for Black people. However, they refuse to have the conversation because it's too uncomfortable. It's too, they feel they're gonna have to give up some power. So that's why we don't have the conversations or the real deep conversations, even about reparations, or even like when we're talking about CARICOM right now, people are afraid to have the conversation because they feel like it means that they have to give up something. So that fear keeps people from speaking. And I would think it's the same fear that people of color or Black people within these organizations have about being demoted or not promoted or losing their job.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so you touched on a bit that there's policies in place that kind of, work against the Black community in a way. So what are these policies and structures that kind of still reflect that historical inequities?
I would say hiring practices, and pay inequity and lack of mobility within some of these organizations. Like when you look at, if you look up some of these organizations and their boards that are in place, who do you see? Right? We still see majority white males in those positions. Not to say that they don't have value and intellect, but there is a more diverse community out there that with varied voices that can add to equity being in place in these organizations. And there's not enough push or challenge around in order to interrupt the current practices. So whilst there are diversity statements or inclusivity statements or belonging statements, are they really living up to the statements that they've put in place?
Yeah. You touched briefly on, CURB's work in Black History Month, and how Black history is not necessarily just about history, but reflecting on it and transforming that into action. So what does moving from this reflection to reform look like in practice? And what can the government, workplaces, even individuals, I guess to Jamal's question, do in a workplace or in any space?
Taj? I think it's about collective responsibility, right?
Yes.
Moving beyond the statements and into that sustained action, like I just mentioned. It looks like individuals, and institutions and communities and governments understanding that equity is not the work of a single department or organization like CURB, but it belongs to all of us. So it means leaders examining policies and power structures, not just hosting conversations. It means colleagues interrupting bias in real time. It means communities holding institutions accountable while also committing to their growth. It requires courage. It really does. The courage to name and repair it and to change systems that no longer serve everybody equitably.
Okay. So institutional practices, while the hiring, promotion, and decision-making often operate quietly. How can organizations begin examining you touched on it, but give me some more, I guess, specific examples of how organizations can examine their own systems honestly and accountably. Like you're talking about a culture change. That's what I get from what you're saying. So give me some specific examples if you can.
I would encourage some organizations to actually go through an audit of their policies and procedures. Even government, like go through an audit of it to ensure that it's equitable, right? I know that there was this Equality Act that was written, I think, by the OBA, but I question the word equality because I'm not sure if they are really centering it around making sure that everybody has the same resources. And I'm not attacking any government position, but I do think we need to look at it differently. Like we use the word equality, which doesn't mean that everybody will reach some sort of sameness. It doesn't mean that, because if we don't have the resources, if the same people are being disadvantaged, then we're not going to get there. So it's about looking at the policies, looking at all of the structures that are in place, and making some real systemic change. That's all I can say for that.
Indeed.
And if anyone's looking for any more specific examples, I suggest you go and check out CURB's racial justice platform that's on the website from 2025.
I want to go to the audience real quickly. We've got Graham Smith. He says, I suggest that Bermuda policymakers throughout the U.S. adopted February Black History Month and adopt a people-centered all-year-round Bermuda National History Education Framework. What are your thoughts on that?
I support that. I absolutely support it. Our history, like I said, is all of our history, right? When we start shifting that narrative to understand it is the history. It without there's no debating that that's our history, that everybody should learn that history. Everybody should understand it, acknowledge it, so that we can move forward.
We've got Charles H. Jeffs II. He says, recently there was a post about Butterfield Bank celebrating Black history without fully acknowledging their own history as it relates to Blacks in Bermuda. How important is it to tell the whole truth?
I believe it's very important to tell the whole truth. Like in this particular, with that example, I think acknowledging it will make it easier for them to actually commemorate. Acknowledging their history will help people to start, not necessarily forgiving, but looking at them as shifting. Truly shifting, right? I believe that if they acknowledge it, they say we acknowledge that this, like there's been apologies by several organizations. There's examples of it that Butterfield can do in order to move forward.
We live in a time where probably the most interesting time as it comes to like race and just discrimination and the like. But it's an interesting time because white people are becoming more unapologetic in these spaces and standing firm. I know in Florida, you had the banning of certain books, changing the narrative. In, I believe it was Indiana, Purdue, a new law, CLT, where there, schools, like off the top of my head, trying to remember, but they'll be allowed to now focus on teaching Western history more and, getting away from the stuff that was really educating people about the truth per se. And, you've had Florida Governor Ron DeSantis basically make it seem like slavery wasn't all that bad, right? In the South. With all of this happening, and more people, entering workspaces, how should Black people go about moving? Like, I mean, my response to all of this, and, again, I personally, I don't say anything to offend on purpose. And I know it happens a lot, but I don't do it to offend on purpose, to cause harm to others. I try not to do that. But I do try to speak up for what I deem is right versus wrong. And I'm sorry, but I have worked for some of the most racist companies, and I've had some of the most racist colleagues and some of the most racist bosses. And I've lived into what I deem some of the most racist countries in terms of Bermuda and the United States. And people are like, oh, Bermuda's not right. Bermuda is one of the most racist countries, in my opinion. And if you want, I could give you stats. If you want to argue that, is, again, you may see a lot of Black people, but where do you see them? You may, people ask me about Bermuda in the US. I'm like, just think South Africa. Really? Well, no. Meaning the Blacks may be slightly the majority, but they don't own the important things, right? And then when you start to think, well, no, there's a Black insurance guy. There's no Black. There's no Black. How do we change that narrative with action as people?
So I'm going to start by saying this. Some of what is happening within the U.S., what's said in the U.S., is also happening here. It may not be as overt, but it's definitely happening. I mean, I was in an interview just within this last month where I was told that racism is debatable. And whereas right now, racism it's like you can't deny it. It's so overt, it's so out there, and people are getting more comfortable with what they say. That statement alone and what followed that statement for me was racist. And that is by an actual, somebody here in Bermuda. But it's not the first conversation that I've had where people feel more bold to challenge you, where people feel more bold to tell you what words you can say and what words you can. And so we need to actually embody ourselves more and strengthen ourselves more in this fight against racism, and here in Bermuda as well. because what happens in the US tends to trickle down here, and it has started. But I will say this, like I believe this, that the narrative is going to shift, and it's going to shift back, and that many of these organizations or people that are pushing to with this type of language, to ban books, to ban different things of curriculum, are going to have to swallow their words. Because truth is truth, and truth will prevail.
As you were speaking, I was thinking, and Taj, please, I don't want to take up all the time, say if you have anything, but I was thinking as you were speaking just now about Charles' comment that Bermuda is economically racist.
Yes.
And that's what I meant when I said, Bermuda's like South Africa in that respect. It's actually kind of scary what you just said, that reality, right? And it's scary because for me, DEI was the worst thing for Black people. And I know there are people who feel like, integration was bad as well. But DEI was bad because of something that was said earlier. You started seeing Black people getting these jobs, especially Black women in these roles, DEI roles. Like they weren't good enough for other C-suite positions, but they were good enough for these DEI roles. Then you saw those roles disappear over the last 2 years. And in the United States, Black women becoming the most unemployed, right? As numbers were growing. But what was happening with these DEI roles is they were putting Black faces in there. And when you put these Black faces in there, it was not necessarily people who were gonna go in there and, change things. It was that, okay, we've got someone here, you can't call us racist anymore, as if like Obama becoming the president, racism doesn't exist anymore. I guess the challenge that I'm having today is how do we get to a space where we start to understand that Black faces don't eliminate the overall idea of white supremacy? Yes, I said it.
It's interesting, right? Because I am a DEI practitioner. And I have been for many, many years. So the way I look at DEI may be a bit different. And that's another conversation for us, Jamal. But I do agree with some of what you said in the fact that if some of those faces or companies put people in those spaces just to look like they are doing the right thing or the equitable thing. So I do believe that, but I do also know that there's some very professional DEI people out there, and DEI is not just about race. It's about all of the intersections of our cultural identifiers. And so for me, DEI started to show up more equitably in spaces where you would hire people that were physically challenged or things like that. So I get you, and I also agree with parts of what you were saying. But I just felt I needed to say that piece.
I appreciate that.
I also know that, because I also have been working as a faculty member for National Association of Independent Schools overseas, and that many of my colleagues, which it was about 60 of us, many of them have lost their positions within this last 2 years. So I feel you, I get you. But I'm forgetting the last part of your question.
But no, I want to add to you, because when Donald Trump, president of the US, said last night, eliminating DEI, and I just thought about this, and I don't know if you will understand this, but when you're in an airport and they say any military members first, any people with small children, that's DEI in like that.
Yes.
That is,
Correct.
Yes.
I'm speaking specifically about race, because I was in a DEI conference in Florida about 3 years ago. And I said the same thing, and a young Black lady stood up. Well, it's not just about race. And then a white lady stood up and said, no, he's actually right. DEI isn't just about race, to your point, but it's always led with race for this thing to appease. And so that's my point, is the appeasement part, right? Is that we're used, right? They took the term woke and they made it, they pretty much, you heard them use that, and it's just like calling you the N-word at this point, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
We've allowed our movements to be hijacked and taken over.
Yeah.
How do we, for me, and I know some people may disagree with this, but I said this in our chat last night. I don't want to fight to be included into anything where I'm not wanted. I don't.
Yeah.
I remember having a convo with Sister Linda Vogel Meisner years ago. Like, I don't know. Let's build our own. And that's not to say that we shouldn't fight for justice and equity. Let me be very clear. That's not eliminating that. I just feel that, you know what? The energy and time we spend fighting to be included sometimes, imagine if we invested that in building our own. Okay, you don't want me in your space. The Jews did it. Mind you, they got reparations, but you see my point? They did it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I took over the conversation. But all that to say, I know you gotta. I tell you, I love these conversations, and I'm just glad we're going to be having them regularly.
I do agree with you because I'm tired. I am tired. Like, I'm getting 60 community, but it's. I often ask why this, right? Because doing racial equity work, trying to, everybody says that they support anti-racism. I don't think there's a person when you go out there and you ask, they all support anti-racism, but there's a gap there, right? It doesn't move to action. It doesn't move to people really standing up and pushing against racism, right? There's only a few people that continuously do the work. Yeah. And so we need to, like, for Black people, we need to challenge people. We need to challenge people in these organizations because it's the only way that transformation is going to happen.
Well, how do you get white people who are uncomfortable, but if that matters to you, how do you get them to understand that trying to get to a space where equity is a reality isn't anti-white? Like, because that sometimes
that's the whole thing. It's not anti-white, and that's why when I started the conversation in the beginning, the history is all of our history, and once we acknowledge that, then we can have these deeper conversations. But it's so much fear, thinking that it's all the biases that they have that makes them think that Blackness is not excellent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's going to take a long time for that shift of mindset and that narrative to shift. However, it's happening in some white spaces, but it's not enough. And it's going to take white people to speak with white people in order to start that transformation or that narrative change.
Let me ask you a question. We talked about how we all know, and this is part of my inspiration, I'm giving it away, that Black faces in high places will not save us. We know that. So what do you say to people who don't understand, and even myself, who question how we can still be living with racial structures and racism when we've had a pro-Black government, an anti-racist government for the better part of the last 30 years. So
because they're conditioned as well. It's that internalized and institutionalized racism or oppression. They don't even know what they're doing half the time because they're not acknowledging it themselves.
Yeah.
I'll answer it by saying this, right? Some of you know my fight. Taj later years, me years ago, when I was Taj's age, I was in and around the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party. Thought it was Black progressive, labor and so on. And then I was drafted into the Bermuda Regiment, went to the regiment, and was like, this is one racist organization, like this institution is good. But the indoctrination that the way they indoctrinated so many Black men, and I'm talking about Black men who were lawyers and accountants and executives in reinsurance, like the way they were indoctrinated to believe that this was of service to their country had me questioning everything. And then when I was in and around the PLP, and I'm going to call names, this isn't on you, David Colonel Birch, right? I thought Colonel Birch was the biggest pro-Black fighting, a big fighter out there. and pro-Black. And again, I say this with love. And Ms. Ellen Kate Horton actually says it in our comments a lot. It hit me that so many of those who I thought were pro-Black and pro-progress for Black people were willing to accept titles from Britain.
Yes.
They were willing to defend Britain in saying it's for Bermuda. And I said to one sitting MP today who used to say, oh, it's about service to your country. When the riots broke out back in the day, did they go protect Frizzle's Hill or Front Street? Where did they send you to protect? And if that doesn't wake people up, this is why I tell Taj, and he's like, I'm tired. I don't have the capacity to continue fight. I walked into the gas station by PHC Saturday night. I weren't even off the plane long enough, so I go in there to get some food, and a Rasta comes up to me. So I don't know what his talk. Hey, you're the guy Hartman. This is me telling you all everything. I said, yeah, Jamal Hartman. I don't agree with you guys ending conscription. And he went on, and everything he was saying was not fact. Like, they have conscripted. I said, brother, how are you a Rasta? How are you a Rasta? And talking about you're supporting conscription. Conscription had nothing to do with looking out for Black people. Then he says, well, look at the young man out here shooting each other. Conscription existed when these shootings happened. Conscription existed when they started. Conscription existed when the majority of the murders were taking place. We are so indoctrinated. And my question is, how do we unlearn as people? How do we get people from that place of indoctrination to a point of education to understand that pretty much all we've been taught and told we need to unlearn?
That's true.
Yeah.
We need to start shifting mindset, but how do we do that? Like, when listening to you speak, I look at myself as always having been in service, always having been in service. So my service to my community or to my island is this racial equity work. And it is about challenging the structures and those old traditions that keep us bound. And so when we start looking at that, like as service as well, maybe we'll start shifting some of that mindset. About doing for our people, that is service to us, even our people. I just can't explain it, but it's so difficult because we are that internalized racism piece is so deep, so deep. We've lived it for so long that changing and shifting and reconditioning and relearning is a long process.
What I'll say is it starts with the schools. It starts with education. I think we all agree on that. But I think it deserves more attention, because what people fail to understand is that racial justice is also connected to everything that's going on in our society. You talk about gang violence, you talk about the drinking culture in Bermuda, you talk about economic oppression, you talk about the accidents that are happening. All of that is associated with this. And if the government doesn't realize that and start to address, and as you rightfully called, Jamal, nationally have a national conversation about this culture, this risk-taking behavior. That's what it is. It's risk-taking behavior. And risk-taking behavior is associated with oppression and marginalization. And so if we don't have that conversation, we can never solve the problems of gang violence and so on.
I think there's an elephant in the room that a lot of people, including maybe us, are afraid to address because who it would offend when it comes to race. And I read a lot of stuff and I don't say it because, again, I care about people. I really do. And we're sensitive when we hold on to things like religion.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Like our Greek fraternities and sororities.
Yes.
This is not to criticize or condemn. But again, go back to that part where I said we have to unlearn the indoctrination. So in order to actually resolve this, it's going to require us as a collective to be extremely uncomfortable.
Yes.
And none of us want to be uncomfortable. I tell you all when we bringing Stacey on, I'm happy we're going to be having these conversations regularly. But Stacey, I know we don't want to keep you all day, but I want to actually, before you head out, there are many people tuned in right now who actually want to be a part of the meaningful change. What are some first steps toward advancing anti-racism in the workspaces, like communities, daily lives? What can they do to join CURB, be a part of your work, attend some of your sessions? Just keep this conversation going, but louder.
Yeah. CURB facilitates the Truth and Reconciliation community conversations. I would encourage anyone, any organization. We could do it as organizational groups. We can do it, have these conversations. We take you through 6 modules of why this reconciliation or repair or healing of our community has to happen, but having those deeper conversations. But these conversations have to be held with all of our community, Black, white, and other. We need to delve in deep, be willing to do that, and be willing to feel uncomfortable in that space. But that's the only time we're going to see real change. Change and transformation comes out of that discomfort. So I'm encouraging any organization, you can contact CURB at any time, 707-1496. But contact us so that we can facilitate and schedule these conversations. We're happy to have them, and we have many trained facilitators to hold those conversations.
And these conversations about love, man. For me, this is no hate. This is love. This is education.
Yes.
It's important. But we need to be honest. We have to be willing to be uncomfortable and be honest. And I'm gonna say it once again, no offense, but we have to let go of a lot of what we've been taught and told and start relearning. And that means being uncomfortable. I'm gonna use myself as an example, and I'm sure Taj has examples based on what I know about him. But when we were fighting conscription, the risk that I took, when your family doesn't want to support you, because your family is all about the law, right?
Yes.
My mama was the only one stood by me, right? So it's going to require families as wholes to kind of go deeper, think deeper, think deeper. This is not just about your child going to work and working in spaces. I tell people, if you're in a place where you're uncomfortable and you don't feel safe, get out. This is a serious situation, and we will continue to be in the same space until we gather the courage to believe we should be in a better place. Stacey, thank you so much. And I'm so glad for the partnership with CURB. Again, audience, we're going to be having these conversations regularly. We are excited. We talked for almost a year to make this happen.
Yes.
Thank you to Bacardi for making sure that we can do this. And I look forward. One more thing I want to say. We created this Black History version of Bermuda Trivia. And that entire book, edition, that entire game is based on the book by CURB that they put out, 5 centuries of Black history. If you don't have that book, please, if you really want to know, please reach out to CURB and get that book. Please. It is it's an easy read. It's bullet pointed. There's no reason for you all not to know a lot of information with the things that you can learn from that book. And we made it even easier by utilizing that book to make a Black History edition of Bermuda Trivia. So thank you for the work that you're doing. And please, if nothing else, do not let anyone make you believe that we cannot say things like white supremacy or racism or like any of that stuff, because it's our reality. So thank you. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. Stacey Lee-Williams from CURB. Folks, if you appreciate that conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your colleagues, everyone you know. Taj, you weren't even going to be on today, man. I'm glad you changed your mind.
Yes.
Seriously, folks, he was going to be on yesterday, but I'm glad he changed his mind. You're going to be on tomorrow too?
Yes, why not?
Okay. He'll be on tomorrow too. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to test yours and Taj's knowledge on some music. All right? Do not go anywhere. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get this.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Nova's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Every space has a message, whether it's a store, a government office, or a doctor's waiting room. With Store Tunes Radio, transform your environment with customized music and professional messaging that keeps people informed, engaged, and at ease. Easy to use, built for organizations of every kind. Powered by Bermuda Communications Group. Store Tunes Radio, the soundtrack to better customer experiences. Visit storetunesradio.com to learn more.
The Office of Consumer Affairs protects residents by promoting fairness, safety, and transparency in the marketplace across the island. We investigate complaints, manage recalls, educate the public, and enforce consumer protection laws to ensure fair treatment for all. Our team supports consumers by resolving disputes, providing guidance, and helping residents understand their rights and responsibilities. We work with businesses to encourage compliance, ethical practices, and trust, helping create a stable and competitive economy. Through education, enforcement, and outreach, Consumer Affairs helps keep Bermuda's marketplace safe, informed, and accountable.
All righty. Welcome back to the big show. Taj, Don Villadovich, I'm Jamel Hartman. Folks, thanks again for rocking with us. Thanks again to Stacey Lee-Williams, CURB, and Bacardi for making sure we can have these conversations with you. Again, if you're streaming with us and you haven't already, make sure you give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues. It is time for the Daily Play brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, it's music today. Are you ready, audience? Are you ready, Taj?
Yeah, give it to me.
All right. The lyrics, these lyrics belong to what artist and song? No need to get jumpy. No need to get bumpy. And a no need to get bumpy.
Yeah, you got me. I don't know.
Audience, somebody. No need to get jumpy. No need to get bumpy. No one? No one? Wow.
Oh,
no
wait.
one. Answer to that?
Wait. Is that a Bob Marley song?
You got that part right. Yes.
I don't know the name of it though. I don't know the name of it.
It is called Black Man Redemption. Black Man Redemption. Says cool runnings. Can you dig it? Cool runs. Yep. Spread out.
Yes.
Tell you about the Black Man Redemption. Can you dig it? Wow. No one got it. Interesting. That's one of my favorite Bob Marley songs. All right, you know what? On that note, we got to wrap it up. We've been here a long time. Taj, first, final thoughts on the discussion about leadership, and then obviously the discussion with Stacey Lee-Williams.
I think whoever becomes the leader of the PLP has some serious questions that they need to answer about the progress of Bermuda and what it looks like, especially consideration reparations and the state of the Black community in Bermuda. I think the next leader would be wise to speak on that.
And Stacey Lee.
Oh yes, well that was on state. I was combining them together.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm not used to them being so short. You know, Teray usually gives an essay. But I'll say this much: as far as the leadership in the PLP, I wouldn't want that job. So props to you all for even putting your names forward. But I hope you understand the responsibility that you have to the people of the country, whoever it may be. I do hope that the delegates do what's in the best interest of the country and not just the party. As far as the conversation with Stacey Lee-Williams, I just hope that we get to a space where she speaks so well and in a very good tone. I wish I had her demeanor. And I hope that people begin to listen and attend and involve themselves in the conversations. And I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about Black people. I really do hope. Because what's being shared isn't harmful information. It's not meant to harm people. It's meant to educate people and inform people and help people so that we can make better decisions that will likely be in our best interest.
Yeah.
Equality, miss me with that though. I want equity.
And I'll also say, Jamal, that CURB needs money to operate. And so I know Stacey's not going to say that, but I'm going to say it for her. CURB needs money to operate. So if you're thinking about Black History Month and where you can put your money towards, improving situations for the Black community in Bermuda, CURB should be your first choice.
And folks, and if you want something for something, purchase the book.
Exactly.
Purchase the book from them. That book is amazing, seriously. And I encourage you all, support this organization. Support them. It's helpful. Taj, do you have any daily inspiration for us?
Yes, my daily inspiration is a quote from Ruha Benjamin, who's a sociologist and professor of African American studies. And she says, it's a famous quote, "Black faces in high places are not going to save us. That is, our Blackness is not in and of itself trustworthy if we allow ourselves to be conscripted into positions of power that maintain the oppressive status quo."
That is one of the best quotes of the year so far. And it goes to what I was saying earlier.
Exactly.
Thank you, Taj. Appreciate that. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical Host Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and Big Love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. He's Taj Donville Otterbridge. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.